They said he was already gone. That's the phrase that kept echoing in my head for years. Already gone, like a person could just quietly expire while their heart was still beating, while machines kept their chest rising and falling, while the room still smelled like antiseptic and hope mixed together in a way that made your stomach hurt. Everyone said it. Doctors, administrators, even his own family in the careful language people use when they don't want to sound cruel. And me, I was just the cleaning woman. The one nobody asked questions to. The one people spoke around not to. The invisible one. Until the night I did something that was never supposed to happen. I didn't plan to change anything. I wasn't brave. I wasn't heroic. I was just tired of watching people give up on someone who was still warm when I touched his skin. I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me start where this really began. My name is Lila Monroe. I grew up in a town where you learn early that being quiet is safer than being noticed. My mom worked 2 jobs until her body gave out. My dad disappeared when I was still learning to spell his name, and by 16 I understood something very clearly. Nobody was coming to save me. So I cleaned houses, hotels, offices, anywhere they'd let me in without asking too many questions. People saw my uniform before they saw my face, and honestly, that was usually fine. Then I got the hospital job. It wasn't glamorous. Night shifts, low pay, long corridors that smelled like bleach and sorrow. Most patients blurred together after a while, but room 614 didn't. That room had weight. Inside it lay Evan Caldwell, 28 years old when the accident happened, son of a billionaire real estate tycoon named Marcus Caldwell. He'd been in a coma for almost 4 years when I met him. The nurses called him the statue. Doctors called him non-responsive. And his father. His father called him a situation. That one hurt the most, even though it wasn't aimed at me. Marcus Caldwell was the kind of man who filled space just by walking into it. Expensive suit, sharp eyes, voice that never rose because it never needed to. When he visited the staff, straightened up, spoke faster, nodded more. When he stood at the foot of Evan's bed, he didn't touch him. He just looked, like he was reviewing a failed investment. One night, while I was wiping down the rail of Evan's bed, Marcus walked in and said, "How long does it take to clean a room? Not rude, just cold." I swallowed and said, "I'm almost done, sir." He nodded once. "Good." Then, after a pause, "You don't need to talk to him. He can't hear you." I hadn't realized I was whispering. I stopped immediately. My face burned. He left without another word. That should have been the end of it. Do your job. Stay invisible. That's how you survive. But something about that room wouldn't let me do that. I started noticing things. Tiny things. When I spoke softly, his breathing shifted. When I said his name, the monitor flickered just a little. I told myself it was coincidence exhaustion, my brain filling in gaps because I needed something good to exist. Still, I kept talking. About my day, about the awful vending machine coffee, about nothing. Because silence felt like surrender. The breaking point came the night I overheard a conversation I wasn't meant to hear. I was emptying trash near the nurse's station when I heard a doctor say, "We've done everything medically reasonable." Another voice replied, calm and final. Then we set a date. I didn't need them to say Evan's name. I knew. My hands started shaking so badly I had to grip the cart to stay upright. They were going to turn the machines off. I went into room 614 after midnight. The lights were dim. Evan looked the same as always. Peaceful. Too peaceful. I sat beside him, something I'd never dared to do before, and whispered, "They're giving up on you." My voice cracked. I don't know how to stop it. And that's when I felt it. His fingers. Curling. Not jerking. Not twitching. Holding. I froze. My heart slammed so hard I thought I might pass out. "Evan?" I whispered. Nothing else moved. I almost convinced myself I'd imagined it. Almost. The next day I tried telling a nurse. She smiled the way people do when they feel sorry for you. Families see things all the time. I said, "I'm not his family." She didn't answer that. The night everything exploded was quiet at first. Too quiet. Evan's breathing started fighting the ventilator. I remembered something I'd overheard during training. if a patient attempts to breathe on their own, full assistance can suppress the effort. My hands hovered over the controls. Touching that machine could get me fired, arrested. Worse, I looked at his face. For the first time, it wasn't peaceful. It was strained, like he was trying to come back and something was holding him down. "I'm sorry," I whispered, and I adjusted the settings just enough. The alarms went insane. Nurses ran in, a doctor shouted my name, someone grabbed my arm. But Evan breathed. On his own. Weak, uneven, real. The room went dead silent. "He's initiating spontaneous respiration," the doctor said slowly, like he didn't trust his own voice. Marcus Caldwell arrived seconds later, his face drained of color. What happened? No one answered him right away. Everyone was staring at the monitors, at Evan, at me. I expected to be dragged out. Instead, I was told to step back, to wait, to breathe. 2 days later, Evan opened his eyes. Not fully, not clearly, but enough. His father broke. "There's no other word for it." He sank into a chair and held his son's hand like it was the only solid thing left in the world. Later, when the doctors explained that Evan was moving into a minimally conscious state, Marcus pulled me aside. "Why you?" he asked quietly. Not accusing, confused. I said the only honest thing I had, because I stayed. Recovery wasn't cinematic. It was slow, painful, ugly. Evan got frustrated, angry. Some days he hated everyone, especially himself. I used to be someone he whispered once, tears streaking down his face. I squeezed his hand. "You still are. You're just becoming someone again." Then the memories came back. Broken at first, then sharp. A phone call. A meeting. Someone telling him to stop the car, that someone was his father's right-hand man, Julian Cross. The accident wasn't an accident. The investigation was brutal, quiet, efficient. Julian was arrested. Evan cried not out of relief, but betrayal. Marcus sat beside his son and said something I never thought I'd hear. I should have listened sooner. Months passed. Evan learned to walk again, one step at a time. I stood nearby, not holding him, just there. Marcus changed too. Less commanding, more human. One afternoon he called me into his office and said, "You're not a cleaner anymore." I panicked. He continued, "You're his caregiver, with training, with pay, with a future." I didn't know how to respond. I still don't, honestly. This isn't a fairy tale. Evan still struggles. Some days are hard, some nights are worse, but he's here. And I learned something that still shakes me. Power didn't save him. Money didn't save him. Procedure almost killed him. What saved him was someone staying when it was easier to walk away. So here's my question for you. If you were in that room with no authority, no protection, no guarantee, you'd be thanked. Would you have stayed? Would you have risked everything for someone the world already decided was gone? Tell me what you think in the comments. Argue with me if you want. Share a story if you have one. And if you believe the quiet people matter more than we admit, you know what to do next.